What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to a classic BBC clip from 1965 called Could You Be a Steeplejack? You know, I've only ever seen one Steeplejack in my life, and that's Fred Dibnah, and that man was really awesome. He is an inspiration to a lot of people throughout the UK, and he was just really good at his trade. And, since watching some Fred Dibnah videos, I think I've seen maybe 5 or 6 at this point, it's definitely gotten me more interested in exploring the Steeplejack trade. Before the first video that I watched with Fred Dibnah, I had never even heard the term Steeplejack before. I don't know if it's just not as popular in the US or if it's got a different name or whatnot, but yeah, I had never heard the term Steeplejack before. But you definitely have to have a unique personality to be able to get on top of these very tall structures and do this type of job. And I just find it interesting to kind of explore these types of trades because this is definitely not the type of trade that's for the faint of heart. You have definitely got to not be afraid of heights, or at least be able to face them more than most people can. Anyways, guys, I came across this video, and considering it was from 1965, I think this was probably in a time that steeplejacking was much more popular than it is today. So I think we're going to kind of learn about the steeplejack trade during a time that it was in its heyday, so to speak, or was much more popular. But anyways, guys, let's just go ahead and dive in and check out, could you be a steeplejack?
These are men who've got to the top, men who have to get to the top to be able to do their jobs. They're steeplejacks, of course, the clear-headed, sure-footed workmen you sometimes see.
Do you know how hard that job would be?
Ladders which they've pinned to chimneys 300 and 400 feet high.
That's crazy.
Their job is one of the most dangerous in the world. You fall off a stack like this only once. So if you're a steeplejack, then you're a careful man. It's not just a dangerous job, it's a lonely one too. 200 or 300 feet up, you've only the birds for company. Birds and the wind. The wind that always howls around your ears.
Look at that, guys. I mean, I was impressed with Fred when I watched Fred Dibnah do his scaffolding, but look at this. That's just so impressive that someone just carried all this stuff up by ropes and ladders and then, somehow put this together. It really is amazing. It really is. It's not just a hard job, but it's also a skilled job. But on top of all that, it's a extremely risky job. It literally has all components there. You know what I mean?
Steeplejacks, like lamplighters, seem to be a dying race.
There's no way. There's no way I can do that.
A 5-year apprenticeship to learn how to keep factory chimneys cheerfully smoking for less money and more risk than a boilermaker or a plater, for instance.
That's crazy. There's no way. There's no way I could do that. I literally couldn't. I'm fearful of heights. I've said that on other videos before, but I've done jobs that I had to be up very high in kind of precarious situations, but man, there's no way I could do that. I just couldn't. Literally my head wouldn't allow me to. I'd probably become too dizzy and I just wouldn't be able to do it. Even if I tried to force myself to do it, I don't think I could do it. And it just takes a very special breed of person to be able to do this.
Doesn't appeal to many young
It really is amazing.
Days. 7 and 9 an hour for a top jack, for a man who's risking his neck every moment he's working, isn't what you might call a great incentive.
Oh, man.
It takes more than a head for heights to be a steeplejack. You need good sea legs, too, and a strong stomach, because the big chimneys can sway like a ship on a bad channel crossing.
That'd be crazy.
But chimneys are getting higher and higher.
Oh my goodness, man.
1,000-foot monsters are already on the drawing boards.
Wow.
Power stations in Britain will soon have 650-foot stacks, and the scarcity of trained steeplejacks to build and to maintain them is worrying British industry. Some firms have a backlog of 6 or 9 months' work and not
Wow.
enough men to do it. But one British firm, the biggest firm of steeplejacks in the world, thinks that it's found the answer to the problem. They've started a school for steeplejacks. The students are taught the theory and the practice of their trade.
Now, the idea of this exercise is to get into the chair, pull yourself up, tie yourself off, and transfer from this chair into that chair without holding on to any of the scaffolding. Now, it's very important that you tie this knot properly because your life depends on it. Right? Now, I'll have a go, and then you can all have a go after me. I'll show you what I want done. Pull yourself up.
But it's sheer practical demonstration that really counts.
My question is, do you see how easy he pulled that? Like, you know what it's like to do a pull-up. I mean, you know, if anybody, you know, has done push-ups and pull-ups, you know what it's like to try to do the exercise, the pull-up, right? So, like, is that easier than that? Or is he literally pulling his own weight all the way up these chimneys like that? Because that takes an insane amount of strength. Now, granted, you can tell these guys are obviously very fit, but to be able to pull yourself up a chimney like that, yeah, I can't. I mean, obviously, you're not pulling yourself all the way up the chimney, but just the amount of pulling they're going to do, the amount of weight, it's just, I mean, it's insane. That's crazy.
When it comes to showing you how to live in the air hundreds of feet off the ground.
Transfer over to this one.
Man.
Lower yourself down.
The basic element in the whole job is the ladder, the 16-foot aluminium ladder which each man needs to get him to work up top. The security of the ladder depends on the dog, which is a slender steel hook. A hole is nicked out into the chimney brickwork, a mere 1 inch deep. Into it goes a wooden plug, and then the dog is hammered home. If it's not properly done, then the ladder isn't secure, and each man does his own ladder.
1 inch? It's pretty secure, though. Look at that.
And he wants his lifeline to be in his own hands. Mr. Bowman, just how dangerous is this job?
To a trained man, steeplejack work is quite safe. To an untrained man or poorly trained man, it's lethal.
What particular dangers do they meet on a big stack, 200 or 300 feet high?
Mainly due to the deterioration of the structure. The brickwork often becomes loose and bricks can literally be pulled out by hand from the face of the chimney.
So they do take their lives in their hands every day?
Oh, they most certainly do.
What sort of accident rate is there in this job?
Well, the steeplejack trade is alleged to be more dangerous than mining, but I would say on an average about 4 to 6 men, steeplejacks, are killed a year in this country. But as there are so few steeplejacks, it's a very high percentage.
Have you lost any men yourself at any time?
We have in the past, yes.
What sort of qualities do you look for in a man who comes to you and says, I want to be a steeplejack, I want to join your course?
Well, most of all, dependability. Fitness, and general ability, alertness, and keenness. It's no good having a man take the job just for the money. He's completely useless.
What is the money?
Well, that varies tremendously from a semi-skilled man to a fully trained steeplejack, but it would vary on the average between 20 to 30 pounds, but a really skilled man would earn considerably more.
So the semi-skilled men, although they take the risks, they're not really very highly paid, are they?
No, not as such, no.
Have safety methods in...
When he says 20 to 30 pounds, is he talking about 1965? Is he talking about per day? 20 to 30 pounds? Huh. I literally don't know how to compare that to other salaries, you know, in 1965. If anyone knows kind of what that would have been in today's dollars or today's pounds, please let me know. I'd love to know exactly like what the money really looked like for them doing this type of job.
Proved at all over the years?
I would say so, yes, most definitely. Steeplejack work basically at the moment is as it was 100 or even 200 years ago. But far more care is taken of gear. The men are far more intelligent. They take a great care of their equipment because they realise that their lives depend upon it.
What was your job before you took up steeplejacking?
Well, I came out the Navy and then I went baking, confectionery, wedding cakes.
Really?
And what made you decide that you wanted to be a steeplejack?
Well, the bakery I was in was underground, and I thought to myself, well, I might as well have a nice outside job. Not today, mind you. But in the summer, I wanted a nice outside job, so I decided steeplejacking.
Well, what sort of things do you have to watch?
It went from a baker to doing steeplejacking.
Learn
That's an
or keep
interesting
fit or anything
change.
like that to be a steeplejack?
Yes, you've got to keep yourself fit. You mustn't get too fat. You mustn't get overweight.
This is one of the great dangers, drinking, I suppose.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go up there with very much of a hangover, would you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't be blown away.
The men who come here to the school, and you're now instructing in the school, the men who come here, do they come from any particular trade? Are they already in the building trade, for instance?
Building trade, and a vast majority is ex-Navy, merchant Navy. And
What attracts them to it, do you think?
I think that makes sense, actually.
Well, I think it's a job that not very many people can do. I mean, there's a million people in such and such a trade, but there's not a lot in steeplejacking. And you're really on your own once you're up top.
Well, now, somebody like me who's never been up a stack, could I climb up this stack up here?
Well, I reckon you could, but as you've never been up, if you do want to go, I'd like you to put on the harness, and that'll be okay.
Well, I might have a try. And this is the harness you want me to use?
This is the harness.
Oh, they do have
It's very comfortable,
harness.
although it looks a bit awkward. Take it into.
Huh. I didn't even know they had harnesses at all. I guess I guess the harness would have been for practice for people who aren't, who are kind of learning the trade, I guess. And then once you become a fully skilled steeplejack, you like, I'm going to get rid of the harness because it probably slows you down quite a bit.
The parachute harness.
Yes.
Wait, what? A parachute harness.
Just concentrate and relax. There's your helmet.
Right. Concentrate.
And relax.
You make it sound so easy. Well, this is a 120-foot brick stack, a boiler stack they call them, on a laundry in southeast London.
And imagine a lot of the stacks are like 4 times that, maybe more.
Camberwell from the top. I'll soon be able to tell you whether you do or not, I hope. Isn't there a phrase somewhere? It's as easy as falling off a chimney. Or is that one I made up myself? Well, this is a hard way to get to work.
Wow. Great
It's
view,
very
man.
windy, but you can feel the heat coming out of this chimney.
Oh, there is
Oh,
that
these
too.
are-
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, these boys can have this job. I think I'll come down. Well, it's good to be down. There must be easier ways of getting a pleasant view of Camberwell. And I can tell you that there's plenty of room at the top up there for you, but not for me.
Nope, it will not be for me. Like I was saying, there is no way I could do that job. I try to face my fears. I go rock climbing. I haven't in a while, but growing up, I did quite a bit of rock climbing, and I would have to face my fears, and I would face my fears. The issue is, being up there on the side of a chimney like that, hundreds of feet in the air. I don't think looking down and stuff. I think I would literally get vertigo, and I would just get very, very dizzy. And I just get too wobbly. I just wouldn't be able to do it no matter how much I tried. You have to be I think I could climb up. I know I could climb up. But that is definitely not something I could do day in and day out. Oh my goodness, man. The fear of heights would just kick in too much. Although there is something to be said that once you do it enough, you get kind of used to it. But still, it takes a very special type of person to be able to do something like that. It's just one of those jobs that you're very limited on the amount of people that you can get interested in joining that profession. So from what I understand, it seems like steeplejacking was much more popular, decades ago. I don't know why that is. I don't actually know if that is true. It's just what I've heard. Please let me know in the comments if you know anything about it, if steeplejacking has made a comeback, if there's been a resurgence on the amount of steeplejacks, or if there is a continual decline in the amount of steeplejacking. I'm just really curious on, how many people are still steeplejacks throughout the UK and Ireland. I don't know if Ireland has as many steeplejacks or, as the UK, but I'm guessing they probably don't. Smaller population, obviously, meaning probably less factories and things like that. But, considering these guys also work on church steeples and things like that, which I think that's originally why they were called steeplejacks, is because of church steeples. These guys got to be everywhere. Yet somehow I've never heard of them before Fred Dibnall. Don't know how that's possible, but I'm also really curious about how the safety precautions have changed. Do they generally still not use harnesses? I mean, obviously this guy did, but I don't think your normal, full steeplejack, your professional steeplejack, would actually use a harness most of the time, at least back in the 60s when this was taken. I'm curious about now, do they use harnesses and stuff like that? I'm sure the harnesses have become faster to use at this point. So I'm curious, do they take more safety precautions than they did back when this was filmed, But guys, I thought this was really interesting. This definitely helped me understand the steeplejack trade a little bit more. I love learning about different trades like this that are kind of risky and obviously take a ton of fitness and a ton of skill. Like I said, this trade literally takes everything, which, between fitness, skill, fearlessness of heights and things like that. So you have to be very brave. So it's going to be very limited on the amount of people you can get to join this profession. So I'm guessing there aren't a ton of people lined up. And I'm really curious on today, what does a steeplejack actually get paid on average? You would think this job would get, an extra bit of money just for the risk involved. I think all jobs that have a lot of risk should get paid a little bit extra just for the risk itself. But I'm not sure if that's the case with steeplejacking or not. But guys, I found this interesting. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button and feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.